Walk down almost any dock in America and you'll find one. Sun-bleached, green along the waterline, a cover sagging under 3 winters of rainwater. Say the name out loud and somebody nearby will smirk, because in the boating world, this brand is a punchline. Which is strange, because no company has ever sold more boats. Both of those things are true at once, and the second one caused the first. Go back to the 1950s. Buying a powerboat wasn't one purchase, but it was 3. You bought a bare hull from a boat builder. You bought an engine separately from somebody else. Then you went hunting for a trailer that fit, and if it didn't quite fit, that was your problem. 3 sellers, 3 price tags, 3 people to point at when something leaked. So boating stayed what it had always been, a hobby for people with money, time, and patience for all of it, which meant almost nobody. In 1955, a 23-year-old named Orin Edson was selling used boats out of a Seattle parking lot, working out of a wooden shack. 6 years later, he paid about $100 for a small builder's brand name. The name was Bayliner. Everyone in the industry agreed on how boats worked. Boats were craft. Skilled hands, custom orders, one hull at a time. That was the reason they were expensive, and almost nobody treated it as a problem to be solved. Edson did. He looked at the same industry and didn't see a boat problem at all. He saw a packaging problem. So he stopped selling boats and started selling a number. In 1982, Bayliner launched what it called the Total Value Package. One price, one signature, a boat, an engine, and a trailer built to match that exact hull. Assembled, rigged, sitting in the dealer's lot ready to tow away. $6,295 for a Capri 16 with an 85 horsepower outboard. No shopping, no mismatched parts, no decisions. And here's the part everyone forgets when they tell this story as a joke. It was a good boat. Powerboat magazine named the 1982 Capri its Boat of the Year. Bayliner didn't win by selling junk. It won by selling something genuinely decent at a price nobody could match. That number on the windshield is the whole story. Hold on to it. Because to make it that small, Edson had to rebuild everything behind it. He borrowed from Detroit. Instead of a craftsman finishing a hull start to finish, the hull moved. It rolled down a line and each station did one job. Lay the glass, drop the deck, set the engine, run the wiring. Over and over, all day. Custom options are the enemy of a moving line, so he deleted them. A short list of hulls, a short list of colors, take it or leave it. Every choice he removed made the next boat cheaper than the last. Then he stopped buying the expensive parts from other people. Bayliner bought Chrysler's outboard division and rebadged the engines force. It bought a trailer company. Now, one corporation owned the hull, the motor, and the thing you towed it on. And every margin that used to belong to a supplier belonged to Bayliner instead. That engine division cost about $15 million, and it solved the cost problem completely. It also meant that when those engines developed a reputation, and they did, there was no supplier to blame. Bayliner owned the problem as thoroughly as it owned the margin, and then the move that made it enormous. Boats are mostly air. Hauling a finished one across the country can cost more than building it. So Bayliner stopped shipping boats and started shipping factories. Plants placed near the customers, each one feeding its own dealers. At the peak, the line never stopped. Plants ran around the clock, turning out about 1,000 boats a week. A finished boat every 10 minutes. 60,000 in a single year. Bayliner wasn't the biggest boat company in America. It was the biggest boat manufacturer on Earth, moving roughly $1 billion a year. And it worked on the thing it was aimed at. Millions of families got on the water for the first time. Not yacht club families, teachers, mechanics, people with a pickup truck and a free Saturday. In 1986, Brunswick bought Bayliner for $425 million, about $1.1 billion in today's money. 1 month later, Brunswick bought Sea Ray too. Orin Edson had turned a hand-built craft into an assembly line, and an assembly line into a fortune. And that should be where a very good story ends. Except a low price isn't a position you hold. It's a promise you have to keep making, every year, forever. Because costs don't stay cut. Materials get more expensive, labor gets more expensive, competitors watch what you did and copy the bundle. But the number on the windshield can't move. The number is the product. It's the entire reason anyone walked onto the lot. So the pressure has to go somewhere. And it goes into the boat. The gel coat gets thinner. The structural pieces inside the hull, the stringers, the transom core, stay plywood wrapped in fiberglass because plywood is cheap. The layup gets a little leaner, and most consequentially, the engine gets smaller. Pair a heavy hull with the smallest motor that will move it, because horsepower is the most expensive line on the invoice. And it is exactly the thing a first-time buyer standing in a showroom cannot evaluate. The boat looks identical to the one beside it. It costs thousands less. It just doesn't go. In 1999, that got a name in court. A buyer named John Crow bought a Bayliner Sportfisher after a dealer showed him performance sheets promising around 30 miles an hour. Loaded up, his boat did about 13. He sued. And Bayliner won. The paperwork technically described a different boat, so no promise had legally been made. Bayliner won the case, and then the case went into first-year law textbooks, where it still sits today. The boat that didn't go as fast as the brochure said, but the courtroom isn't where the real damage happened. The real damage happened in driveways. Because the person who buys the cheapest boat on the lot is very often buying their first boat. Nobody told them a boat is not a car. Left in the water, it grows things. Left uncovered, it fills with rain. An engine that isn't winterized freezes and cracks. And plywood that has found a way to get wet rots from the inside out, quietly, for years. So the boat that put a family on the water for the very first time was also the boat bought by the owner, least equipped to keep it alive. And unlike a cheap toaster, a boat fails in public. On a mooring, in a driveway, on a trailer in a front yard. Slowly going green where the entire neighborhood can watch. Every single one of them became an advertisement. Not for the price. Against the name. By then, the brand had earned its own joke, repeated on every boating forum in the country. The bay is lined with Bayliners. Bayliner had roughly 750 dealers at its peak, in dozens of countries. Every one of them was now selling against a punchline its own customers had written. And this is the part worth sitting with. Bayliner's reputation wasn't destroyed by a scandal, or a recall, or a rival. It was destroyed by its own customers, behaving exactly the way the customers a low price attracts behave. The strategy didn't fail. The strategy worked perfectly. And the working is what did it. Brunswick spent the next 30 years managing the consequences. When the 2008 recession hit, powerboat sales fell about 40% in a single year, the worst in 4 decades. And the cheapest boats went first. Brunswick closed plants, including Arlington, Washington, where Bayliner had grown up. Around 1,450 jobs went with them. By 2013, the big cruisers were gone. Bayliner still exists. Brunswick still owns it. It builds small boats to modern standards with better materials than the ones that earned the jokes, sold through about 400 dealers around the world. The boats are built in Tennessee now, and in Mexico, Portugal, and Brazil. The Washington hangars where it all started are gone. The product got better. The reputation didn't follow. Reputations are much slower than factories. Go on the Bayliner Owners Forum today, and you'll find a thread that has been running for years titled, essentially, Why All the Haters? The owners aren't wrong. The boats they're defending are better than the boats that earned the reputation. It just doesn't matter. Orin Edson, meanwhile, was fine. He died in 2019, worth roughly $1.3 billion, having given away tens of millions, including $50 million to a university nursing college that now carries his name. So here's the thing about that number on the windshield. It was never a moat, it was a discount. And a discount is the one advantage a competitor can copy on a Tuesday afternoon. And that your own customers can destroy just by owning the product badly. Bayliner put more people on the water than any company in history. It just never owned anything a cheaper boat couldn't take away. Scale is not a moat. Scale is only ever proof that the price was low enough. This video is sponsored by Moat Scope. Everything we just covered, cheap scale, brand rot, moats that were never really there, and is simple in theory. Actually finding the ones that do, that's the hard part. That's exactly what Moat Scope is built for. It rates thousands of stocks on the two things that matter most: how strong the moat is and how much you'd pay for it. Quality times valuation on one simple scorecard, so you can spot the widening moats that are actually trading at a fair price. Check out Moat Scope at the link below and go find your next compounder.